Hula Baloo into stall 12, and they're off at racing. Jumping away then, and away very well was Wizarding to the inside. Pushed along is John the Baptist in behind. Joining the leader, Dark Terms away nicely, and moving across as well from wider draws. Old Handy Talks there, so too is Full Intention and Satin Snake between those two. Winnetka just in behind the leaders as well. The Way to the Stars heads the next wave of runners, with Kadima Imperial racing towards the inside of the field. Out wide is Seas of Elzarm, with Debbie's Choice further back in the field. Desert Boots and Hula Baloo are the two who occupy the last two positions as they move round the home bend in this opening race, and they are now at halfway. Up front, Wizarding together with Handy Talk. Wizarding still going strongly, Handy Talk being driven along. Just in behind those, Satin Snake in third place. Winnetka's going fine, not got the best all-weather record, but going okay here. Followed by Full Intention in fifth, but being pushed along. John the Baptist comes next with work to do in the Way to the Stars next. They attack the closing stages now. Wizarding out in front from Satin Snake in second place. Winnetka's back in third. Not a great deal finishing off from the back end of the field. Wizarding being sternly challenged now by Satin Snake over on the far side running rail. Satin Snake moves to the front from Wizarding as they go up towards the line. Satin Snake from Wizarding. Satin Snake beats Wizarding. Third place looked like Hula Baloo, and John the Baptist finished with a bit of a flourish on the outside.
Ryan Sexton rides a lovely race on Satin Snake from stall 14, Ryan. I bet you didn't believe what position you got from that draw.
Yeah, look, he was unlucky even the last day. He was drawn widest of all. He broke a lot smarter today, and the race, just the way it panned out, it helped. They went a nice gallop, and I was able to get him in just behind the pace, and he probably needed that the last day. He made up a lot of ground, but it's just hard for him just to make. He normally just stays galloping, but today, no, he had a lovely position through the race, and he done it nicely.
Now, I remember interviewing earlier in the season at Nottingham at the start of the turf season. You said that's your 50th win of the campaign. Things have gone really well for you.
Yeah, no, I'm delighted. I have to say I didn't really expect it. It's a great year so far, and I can only thank all the trainers and owners for giving me opportunities. And no, it's nice to get a landmark like that, and hopefully next year keep kicking on again.
Are you going to keep kicking through the winter, or are you going to go sunnier climes at all?
I'll probably stay here for the winter. It's the best thing for me. I keep learning all the tracks, and just keeps me on my toes and sharp enough coming into the flat season.
Well, perfect stuff. It worked out a treat. Well done.
Thank you. Thanks.
They're off and racing. Slowly away, River Chat and a couple of others, Sexy Rexy and also Jupiter Sun. Very green indeed, Jupiter Sun particularly so. Sexy Rexy getting the hang of things. Through the first couple of furlongs, Believe You Me, whose behaviour beforehand was beautiful, absolutely perfect, went into the stalls like a lamb as well. Jumped out great and leads the field. Sexy Rexy's gone right up on the outside to go second. Bonkers in Abundance comes next, followed by market rival Lady of Arabia towards the outside. So they sit 3 and 4, making their way towards the end of the back straight. Scramble is next. Scramble in company with Call Everyone You Know. And then there's a small break then to Movie Night. Movie Night in front of Sister of Thor, both of them racing towards the outside of the group. Meanwhile, towards the inside, Athena Ballerina, but with a few lengths to find. Likewise, River Chat, and the one who's dropped out of the back is Jupiter Sun, completely tailed off now. They head inside the final 3 furlongs, and Believe You Me, still travelling well next to Sexy Rexy. Bonkers in Abundance, and here on the outside, Lady of Arabia staying wide, just both being niggled along now. Scrambles in 5th place, then a gap to Call Everyone You Know, and Athena Ballerina making some gains from the back end of the field. They now dash for the final furlong. Bonkers in Abundance together there with Lady of Arabia. Here's Scramble with a big imprint on the race as well. From the back of the field, Call Everyone You Know is shaping well. This is Lady of Arabia joined by Scramble. Lady of Arabia just in front from Scramble. Lady of Arabia wins from Scramble. Bonkers in Abundance was just third, I think, from Call Everyone You Know, who finished off nicely.
Race 2 has been won by E. Johnson Houghton and Charlie Bishop with Lady of Arabia, and we're just talking, when you see a Band D Fillies maiden in December, the race to target and a nice £20,000 bonus landed.
Absolutely. I mean, we targeted this from about after a first run. So we gave her another run at Wolverhampton and said, right, that's where we're going now. Perfect for her, and the galloping track suits her better than Wolverhampton, and she will be a nice staying filly next year, I think.
Yeah, she looked like that actually in the closing stages. She was never going to get beat, but she did look like she'd appreciate probably a little bit further and probably a little bit more time on her back as well over the winter.
Absolutely. I mean, I think Poet's Word seems to have become a bit of a jump stallion now, and I don't know why, because she's beautifully balanced. She's got plenty of pace, but she is going to get mile and two and further on next year.
That's always nice to see. Granary Queen runs later on in the day. She's a tricky filly. You beat us actually a short head at Leicester, I think, in the summer. She's come off worse in the photos recently, but she's in cracking form.
She's in cracking form. I mean, she's a jockey's either dream or jockey's nightmare, because you have to put her head on the line. If you get there 2 strides too soon, she stops. And if you don't get there soon enough, you don't get there soon enough. And you have to ride her like that. So sometimes you either look like a genius or an idiot. And I feel sorry for them when it doesn't look great. But that's the way she is. It's not that she's dirty. She just gets there and goes, yeah, done it. Great, thanks. Look at me, clever me. But she's in great form, and she doesn't take too much out of herself when she's running, because that's the way she gets ridden, and it's great. Well,
as a handicapper, she is actually the perfect handicapper to have, because it's frustrating, but she's never going to win by 3 or 4 lengths and it can go up £10–12 in one go. So at least, well, she's frustrating. You can get a lot of wins on the board if she stays down and runs regularly. And talking about running regularly, have you got many for the winter, or are you just ticking along nicely?
Just ticking along. I think we've probably got about 6, 7 to run. Not much at all.
And on the back of such a good campaign with the 2-year-olds in particular, how many string have you got for the juvenile front next time around?
Yeah, I think we're probably up on numbers a little bit, but probably have about 30 or 40 2-year-olds for next year. I've got 75 boxes, and they'll probably be full with a bit of luck. But as you well know, you have some that go wrong, some that go in, some that go out. So we'll probably have a few more through the yard through the year.
That was a nice plan landed. 20 grand, great British bonus tonight. Well done, and good luck later on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And they're off and racing. A mile is the race distance here, and both Postman's Park and Lunatic got away very well indeed. Taken to the back of the field early, panning for gold, and slowly away was Alhambra Palace. Those two at the rear. They're very well strung out here. Postman's Park out in front with Lunatic and Mr. Mistopheles, the ones chasing early. Latching on in 4th place now is Tajawal. Tajawal followed by Land Legend on the inside, who is back in about 5th place. Just in behind those, Caraxes comes next. Caraxes is racing just ahead of El Yasor, and then nudged along is Clan Chieftain. Postman's Park, though, is clear of his field. They remain very well strung out. Kyle of Localsh is just in behind those leaders, or I say in behind those in the middle of the pack. Then Alhambra Palace on the outside with Optic, and the grey St. George is beginning to thread through. Mid-division now, just threatening to improve his position a little bit. Meanwhile, last of all now is panning for gold and being pushed along. Postman's Park, though, has had this field well strung out from an early stage. Mr. Mistopheles in 2nd place. Lunatic is back in 3rd. A little gap then to Tajawal in 4th place. Carax is next, and they're followed by Land Legend and the grey St. George. Still finishing off reasonably well. Postman's Park is out in front. Mr. Mistopheles and Lunatic are still the ones doing the chasing. Tajawal being delivered late, blue cap. Postman's Park with Mr. Mistopheles now coming to take him late in the day. Still Tajawal finishing off very well over on the far side. Mr. Mistopheles just last home. Tajawal, a big run. Don't think he quite got there. And Postman's Park in behind them.
Race 3 was won by the ginormous Mr. Mistopheles, one of 3 runners for trainer Huey Morris, and I put up the wrong one, but this horse has really sharpened up nicely on the 3rd outing.
Yeah, we were disappointed by on his 2nd run. Somehow he didn't get into the race, never got going, and we felt, well, we might as well get a 3rd run into him. And I have to say, you know, we probably would have fancied Lunatic more, but he's a lovely horse, as is all the other 2 are lovely horses in the race. And, you know, he's more of a miler, I think, than the other 2.
Yeah, talking to the owners, guys said he's a big type, considering Third Wind and co, similar colours. But yeah, he had a lot more speed than horses like him. But he really did grind it out nicely in the end, because, like I say, for such a big horse, well, it might have been tight enough last time for him.
Yeah, I think he just didn't sort of didn't really get going last time. You know, first time was awful ground at Newbury. We were very disappointed by that, and well, it's fantastic for Anne Plummer, who bought the mare to send to Phoenix of Spain, who she owned with Tony Weschler, who's sadly no longer with us. And the mare bought in foal to Sayunu, and this is a progeny, and the mare's obviously been to Phoenix of Spain since. So it's a very nice story.
I'd imagine the Phoenix of Spain offspring, from what I saw at the yearling sales, they were big horses, so she might be producing some real nice, strong types by Phoenix of Spain. Quick mention about the 4th, because he was quite keen Lunatic from stall 1 this time, and that probably did for him in the closing stages.
Yeah, I think he's just, you know, he looks a sort of strong, butty horse, but he isn't. He just, Kevin said he travelled beautifully well. It just like last time, when he let him down, he just got lost. So that's usually weakness, and he's bred to be, obviously, to stay and to get a lot better in time. Bred by Kirsten Rising, and all her families get better. And I think they've got a lot to look forward to with him, especially over a 1.5 miles next year.
Yeah, you got a nice trio in that whole contest. Tajwell was interesting in the fact that he didn't run yesterday at Wolverhampton, pulled out and came today, so you must have been quite happy to come out on top.
Yeah, that was an interesting one, not to run yesterday. I suppose if you want to do that, that's up to you. But I don't think it's a very good reflection on racing to not run them the next day, having not run them for any excuse.
Yeah, was declared at Wolverhampton, but pulled out with other as the reason for not running yesterday, but back here 24 hours later. But a nice winner there, something to look forward to as well over the winter for next year. Have you got many jumpers on the go? Obviously, Third Wind's, well, not so sleepy probably. They had 2 decent headline acts.
Yeah, I think we're pretty realistic about the weather. Disappointed, he loves Ascot, and I think we were going to have a crack at the long walk, because, you know, try and look out the box. So I suspect he'll be off, and we'll end up back here or at Newbury. I hope they have to put on a grade 1. I think. I expect the handicap might get lost, but we'll see how he is. But he worked well yesterday, and we're just, yeah, that's life in the winter game, isn't it?
Yeah, you do get used to it. Just back to Newcastle, Johnny Van Berk, obviously the white hurdles for the first time. He wanted to make sure he got from A to B safely, but it was still a cracking run. He wasn't that far behind Appetant compared to what he was previously.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Constitution Hills looked fantastic beforehand, and we didn't want to take him on head to head and really just, you know, potentially destroy either horse, but more likely our horse. So we tucked in and had a nice run round, and hopefully, as a result, didn't actually have a very hard race.
Well, it's a credit to your yard. I do feel sorry for the lad that rides him every day, because he does look a little bit of a keen-going individual. But well done this evening, and thank you very much for talking to me.
Thank you. Well, he's a charmer, and you know, the great thing, he's not so sleepy. He's a homebred, the Lord and Lady Blythe as well. So that's an extra pleasure, like this horse tonight.
It always is, and the owner breeders are the bastion of our game, because without them we would really be struggling with our middle distance horses. And yeah, I know from our own point of view as a yard, we're lacking the middle distance horses because the owner breeders unfortunately are not being replaced, and it is a very, very tough game. But thank you very much.
Thank you. Yep.
And they're off and racing, jumping away. Hadley Park shot out of the gates, disputes the lead early with Thunderball, who's another one very well away. Moving forward now, Blue Universe, KIMNKATE also coming through. Just in behind those, the lights of Twilight Kiss also on the premises. There's a few of them chasing it early. Just Hadley Park just restrained there in behind the new leader Thunderball. Those that are in behind the second wave but still very much in touch include Eligius, and slightly further back Emperor Zen, on the rail in behind Hadley Park. That's Corsican Caper. And Optiva Star sits to the rear end of the tightly grouped field as Thunderball leads them out of the back straight. So Thunderball in front by a length. KIMNKATE in second place. Hadley Park is racing in third. In fourth place, not far away at all, is Twilight Kiss. Fifth position for Blue Universe. Then comes ZEPHINA. ZEPHINA stalked by Emperor Zen. Corsican Caper still at the back together with Optiva Star. And on their outside, ELIGIUS now just being nudged along. Turning into the home straight then, and the leader, Thunderball, with KIMNKATE on the outside. Hadley Park waiting for the cutaway. There it is, and Hadley Park now pushed forward, but no massive response. Staying on is ZEPHINA, and also plugging on well is Blue Universe. Down the near side, that is Emperor Zen, and KIMNKATE coming quite strongly. Twilight Kiss still well there. Hadley Park found nothing. Thunderball out in front, but here's Emperor Zen to come and challenge. Emperor Zen together with Thunderball. Emperor Zen, Thunderball. Tight finish between the two of them. Then in third place, that looked like Blue Universe just nosing third. Wait on the judge, all places.
Emperor Zen wins for Rob Hornby and owner-trainer John Butler in the nursery, and it looked to be a pretty slowly run race, but he looked to settle quite nicely for you.
Yeah, he did. Didn't know a lot about the horse and just saw Johnny as I was going out, and he just said he got a great chance if he breaks and can use the position he had from the stalls to good effect. And speaking to George, who's ridden him previously, he says if he jumps on terms, he'd be bang there, and there wasn't a lot of pace on, but I was able to kind of get the run when I wanted to, and he picked up really well. Just idled a little bit when he was not in front almost, but on his own in the middle of the track. So when he was able to come across to other horses, he was always going to find that head. And no, that's great. Really happy.
You're doing a bit of a slow learner. You imagine he'd be one to do quite well over the weather during the winter months when these races aren't the strongest, and he's got a nice handicap mark to play with.
Yeah, exactly. You'd like to think there's a bit more there, hopefully, and as long as he can keep doing what he did tonight, he should be able to progress and go further.
Well done. Thank you.
And they're off and racing, jumping away. Gentle a bit slow away. Nelson Bay was the slowest one of all to get into stride and chased along. Alalali has begun the race brightly. Also well up with the pace is Kaylee King, and on the wide outside, Solution nicely there. Ben Hamrash is also front rank, just nudged up though into fourth place with Zafan against the rail next. Dandelion Time, another one who's pretty much flat out. On that one's outside is Florida in the white jacket, and Florida tracked by Wall Game, who travels fine but is in the mid-pack and about 6 to 7 lengths off the pace at this early stage. Merlin the Wizard even further back, and even further back is Lily Star. Likewise gentle towards the rear of the main group with Loch Leanne for company. And as they begin the run back towards home, Nelson Bay is still in last place. They're well strung out. Kaylee King leading from Solution in second place and Alalali in third. Now Ben Hamrash is driven along. Florida on the outside going well. Zafan will fancy his chances as well of getting involved in the mix. Further back then to War Game on the far side, and Merlin the Wizard coming with a promising looking run down the middle of the track. But up front it is Florida who's burst to the front. Merlin the Wizard chasing him in second place though, but Florida has found a nice turn of foot, quickly settled this. Florida for Kevin Stott wins really well. Second place for Merlin the Wizard, who was clear second best as well. War Game was third, and from the back end of the field, Gentle clearly did some good late work. They're off and racing. Plastic Paddy getting out just ahead of Hickory, who has to just get a lead in the early stages, and away well too was Sir Titan, who just had a glance across, see Brilliant Blue on the rail just in behind him, and Unsung Hero as well, as things settle down with the back markers including Global Warning and Granary Queen well and truly switched off at the back of the field as well. Up front we've got Plastic Paddy. He's got a new race mate though. It's Be Prepared, who's up on the outside, who's come all the way through to challenge for first position. Sir Titan remaining handy, and he sits on the rail in third, just ahead of Hickory, who's in fourth place. Brilliant Blue next, in company with Unsung Hero. Small break to Max Dilemma, who is next. Then comes Silla Star. May Song is slightly further back. Global Warnings towards the rear end of the field. Granary Queen still sharing last place together with Arctician as they move on towards the final 2 furlongs. Plastic Paddy leading up here. Hickory coming down the middle of the track. Hasn't been asked any question yet. Followed then by Sir Titan, who's under pressure, and likewise Unsung Hero. But look at Hickory moving stylishly to challenge for the lead. Plastic Paddy is now in second place. Hickory goes on. May Song, the finisher from the back, and Granary Queen finishing well. Hickory travelled like a dream and will make it 3 out of 3, beating May Song and Granary Queen pretty comfortably. Plastic Paddy was fourth.
Hickory makes it 3 from 3 here at Kempton for jockey Daniel Muscat, and again, it couldn't really be much easier like it was last time.
No, exactly. They've been very patient with his horse and done a good job getting him back to the track for a start, and string 2 wins together since then has been really nice.
Yeah, he was a red debutant winner for trainer James Fanshawe as a juvenile. Did you know what went wrong in between?
Just very small little niggles that they can never just keep him quite right, but he seems to have got over them and probably just matured away from them, and now they've got him back in good form here.
It's quite hard to quantify because he was doing it so easily. Does he feel like he's a horse that's only going to get bigger and stronger as time goes by? Because physically he's not as big a four as I was expecting to see in the paddock, but it just looks like he finds life so easy.
He's not tall, but he's pretty sturdy, and yeah, he makes the jockey's life easy because he travels well, and he's picked up nicely there. I thought they went a strong gallop there tonight, and I just had to press him a little bit early for to get in from that sticky draw, and possibly I'd have probably preferred to ridden him a pair colder, but he got into the race nicely and put it to bed nicely. Yeah,
it didn't matter in the end. Well done, Danny. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
And they're off and racing. The 6 runners, with leaning out to the left markedly there was Star Song from stall number 7, immediately now taken back in behind runners, and Sarah's Verse just a bit slowly away, but the pace early sees Trusty Rusty showing out in front, Alcazan in second place, followed then by Al Gheed in third. The other 3 off the pace, with Star Song looking a pretty difficult ride round the bends on the outside. Sarah's Verse next, and the back marker is Rattling, but the one who's doing the rattling at the moment is Trusty Rusty, who's gone clear. Trusty Rusty and Molly Phillips lead by 7 lengths with less than 3 furlongs left to go. Alcazan in second place, followed then by Al Gheed, and then Rattling trying to ease a bit closer. Sarah's Verse and Star Song come next. Trusty Rusty's got 2 furlongs to last home, 4.5 lengths clear now, but they are now starting to inch into that lead. Alcazan together with Rattling over on the far side, followed by Al Gheed, final furlong ahead of them now. Trusty Rusty, Rattling is coming at Trusty Rusty though. Rattling on the far side goes on from Trusty Rusty, who's got nothing left to fight back with, and Rattling it is, clear now of Alcazan and Al Gheed. Rattling is home, beating Alcazan, Al Gheed, and Trusty Rusty, who faded.
I mean, it has been a cold evening here trackside, and like you, Trio, in the studio, but it's been some good action. And as you mentioned, Hickory was certainly a clear standout. 3 from 3 now, 790 days in between his debut and race 2, but he's bounced back to win really comfortably on the handicap debut off 80. It was hard to quantify exactly what he achieved last time out, and again, it's probably difficult to know exactly how high he can rate on the back of tonight's win, because jockey Danny Muscat tracked the early pace by Plastic Paddy and then eased on by, didn't really ask him a question. He was always doing enough to win by a relatively small margin, bearing in mind I think he could have won by a lot further. What's the handicapper going to do? If I was a handicapper, I'd definitely be trying to go +8, 88 to try and keep him out of 0 to 85s, but he could be a really nice horse for the winter, or, as Steve was suggesting, waiting a little bit later on. Juveniles dominated the card. Lady of Arabia for Eve Johnson-Houghton was an easy winner of race 2. This filly had been 3rd and 2nd on her 2 starts so far, and in the end the competition wasn't particularly strong, but she beat Scramble a 21 shot back in 2nd. Mr. Mustopheles was a really nice big strong type for Huey Morrison. He won pretty well in the mild novice, and in the Southern Furlong novice, Florida in the Constitution Hill colours was a really impressive winner on his 3rd start, because he'd been too keen over a mile, dropped back to Southern. Kevin Stott got some cover and he won really nicely. So while no jumping at the moment, the weather at Kempton provided some cracking action, and we'll be back again soon on the channel. As always, thanks for watching.